So good morning everybody, and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall. And today is a layout update for you. And today I have two 50s and a 66, which is unheard of for me because those of you who know me well via Beringer and Ringwood South will know that this is something that I could never do before, and just let a train run round without me sort of having to keep monitoring it every 2 seconds to see if it's all right. However, in saying that, sod's law dictates that I have had 1 or 2 derailments this morning with the same coach and the same bogie, which it never did before. But hey ho, it is what it is. So the 66 is just coming around now with the IOA Network Rail coaches. And basically, I just thought I'd give you a short update as to what I'm doing with this layout or where we're heading. I'm still playing around with track plans, and I think I quite like this idea of what we have here. I just want something relatively simple. And obviously this is only a 9.5 foot board by 4 foot across, so it isn't the biggest or the widest in the world. However, I do appreciate that some people don't even have that, so I am grateful to be able to at least run a train round. Well, in this case 2. I'm currently running my Prodigy Express with it. I was going to use the Hornby Elite that Alan over at Dragon Junction kindly donated to me and gave me, which was a really generous gift because I felt that that would actually be suited to this kind of layout. But upon using the Elite, the buttons were just a bit, they were just really kind of not really up to using it. So I still do use the Elite. I've left it permanently attached to the programming track, so I don't have to keep swapping it over, and that's just completely separate from the main layout. So that's how I use it, and I actually prefer to use the Elite for programming as opposed to the Prodigy Express because I actually find it easier to use. But like I said, in terms of you running the layout, it's run with my Prodigy Express. So basically the warehouses in the middle is something that I want to use, but I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to use it because obviously the track is so short. To get from where the track is at the moment over across to the warehouses is quite difficult. And to be honest with you, I didn't really want to fill the whole layout with just complete track. So that's why I've kind of left it as it is. And also the warehouses in the middle kind of dictate the kind of barrier in terms of the layout will be split into 2, as in this first part here is the scenic area, and behind the warehouses will be the fiddle yard area. So as you can see in this view is basically split down straight down the middle, and you can see that the warehouse is just here is literally split the layout in 2, and there's a little marker here that I have at the bottom just here, which dictates to me the midway point of the board between the 2 sides, and that will kind of give me an idea of what I can play with in terms of scenery side. And like I said, I will be splitting it in 2. I could just completely have it completely open all the time, but I don't really like that idea, to be honest. So I'm going to split it in 2 and have the back half as the this side as the fiddle yard, this side as the scenic side. As you can see, there's a couple of points there that I've installed, but I've actually run out of track. All this track here that you see is actually track that I've salvaged from Ringwood South. So I haven't really spent any additional money on track as such, so that's been pretty good. So I've managed to save a fair bit from Ringwood South, and also from what I had left over from Beringer, which I didn't use. So obviously Beringer was a much larger layout to Ringwood South. I've also tried to make use out of all the points that I actually had without having to spend any money on any further points. I might have to replace 1 or 2, but I'm not entirely certain yet. So that's something else that I might have to do. But like I said, at the moment we have 4 sort of storage lines at the back, but I'm not using the one right at the back at the moment because, let me get my finger right, that one there, that's it, one right in the very back, because that's too close to the edge. But when I put a back scene on, then I can start using it because I won't have to worry about trains committing suicide or anything like that. Like I said, at the moment we have Evening Star 66779 running. That's a Batman version, and that's also got a DCC Coastal sound chip in it. I'm not running any sound because obviously it kind of drowns out what I'm saying. D400 I recently did a video on with the Hornby TTS sound chips, and that's actually running, and that's got the TTS sound chip in it. The one parked up in the middle, which is that one over there, that 50 over there, that is Agincourt, and that's also another BR Blue 50, and that's got Southwest Digital's sound chip in it, version 3, not version 4. So it is one of the older sound chips, but nonetheless it still works perfectly fine. So I'm just sort of toying around with what I'm going to be doing with the layout. And the thing is, I quite like just watching the trains go around, and this is something that I just couldn't do before. So the idea is to have probably 2 back scenes, 2 backboards, one that goes right around the perimeter around the outside of the layout, and then there's another one which will run down the middle and then maybe curve off and then create the illusion of depth. So I might be building something kind of to raise it up towards the next level at the back there, but I'm not entirely certain yet. And as I am not certain over here either with the station end that I've got going on here. So just down here at the station end here, basically I did originally sort of have the platforms all the way down towards the end here, towards this crossing. But then I thought that it probably doesn't look right, because I think it would take up too much of the boards, and so it will just make the layout look smaller. So what I might do is do what I've got at the moment, which is bring it further back and maybe hide it under here, so kind of the station appears longer and bigger than what it actually is. So that's kind of where my thinking is. I do have this point here, which I'll just bring you down. There is a point here, which could go off into maybe platform 3 and 4 or platform 3, but I'm not sure whether I like that idea, because like I said, I don't really want to cram this front part with too much in the way of track. I'm going to keep it relatively simple. But I have dared to experiment with my double slip here, which is just here. As you can see, my 66 just coming into view now. That's got depot 4 IOA wagons on it. So that's what that's doing. So I have dared to install this, but I wanted to make the most out of all the points that I had. So, and I've spent a lot, those of you who own one of these will appreciate that this is near enough 40 quid's worth of point here. So, it's quite, I wanted to try and get to use it as D400 comes into view with some Mark 1 coaches, Bachmann Mark 1s. So that's where we're at the moment with the whole layout. I don't know how I'm going to incorporate the warehouses, because I really do want to put them into the layout, and I think not only do they look good, and I spent a lot of time and effort on putting it together, I just think that it creates a good divider between the front and the back, so that's something else. So whether or not I convert these warehouses and maybe have lorries instead, and doing offloading lorries and things like that, as opposed to having a railway line, then that could possibly, maybe leave a railway line here and cover it over and make it out like it's got hard standing on it, like it's just been disused. So, and they've just left the tracks there. So I'm not sure whether to go along those sorts of lines. I haven't really thought too much about it. But what it's doing at the moment is I quite like the idea of. Also, you can use, if I just show you, bear with me 1 minute. This bit here, this line here, where the 66 is just coming into view, as maybe a junction. So maybe you can have a train maybe sticking out slightly and waiting for another train to pass before giving the signal to go through, and that could create some interest. So you've got a sort of stabling area waiting for it to come out when the road is clear. And swap the trains over that way. That could be quite good. And like I said, by having these additional lines on the outside, it's created enough length to be able to store some of my longer trains. Now I haven't tested my HST yet, because that will be my longest train, and also with the longest carriages that I have, which are Mark 3s. I don't have any Mark 4s, but they are Mark 3 coaches, are my longest. So we'll see how we get on with that. I know it's a bit all a bit too close to the edge, but unfortunately this is just the constraints that I have and some of the compromises that I've had to make. But I think overall it's going to work quite well, and it's like I said, I'm just grateful that I've got this, to be honest with you. So until the next time, it's goodbye from Mildenhall. And I know it's not very interesting at the moment, but I guess that just gives you a rough idea of where I'm going with it. And we've all got to start somewhere, as I say, and for the third time I'm starting again. So at least we have some trains running, which is great news. And I could just sit here and just watch them go by. And it'd be nice once I get some scenery down and things like that. But at the moment, I'm just enjoying it. Because even just watch them go by whilst I'm thinking about what to do with the layout is enough inspiration. You know, I quite like just standing here watching it, thinking what am I going to do, and it's just quite nice to appreciate them just running around. It's really relaxing. So it's something that I haven't had since I was a child. My dad, when I was a child, bought me a HST set, and Intercity 125 set, and he bought me an 8x4 board, which he set up for me with the green roll mat. And we bought the Hornby standard station, which is pretty much what we have here, and maybe a tunnel mouth and things like that. And it was just nice. And I haven't had that since that time, because all my other layouts have really been end-to-end stuff. And even Behringer, as big as it was, I couldn't just walk away and talk to you and not have to worry about whether or not the trains are going to come off or not, and have to turn them around and all the rest of it. So until the next time, it's goodbye from Mildenhall, and I hope you've enjoyed this brief layout update. Bye bye.